Does this look like?
Okay, proportions in similar triangles. This section is really no different than the other sections. You're going to write proportions in order to find missing lengths. So, the triangle proportionality statement. We already know all these properties because if you've got, what they've got here is a little triangle within a big triangle, and these two sides are parallel. So, since they're parallel, we know that corresponding angles are congruent. So that equals that equals that, and also there's a shared angle right there. So these are similar because of angle. You only need to know 2, although we know 3. So, since they're similar, you could write proportions to find missing lengths. Like, I'm just going to use numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can write a proportion just as long as you follow the same pattern. I could say 1 to 4, following that pattern, has to equal 2 to 3. Whatever the numbers are in that are in there. Or I could go 1 to 2 equals, follow that same pattern, 4 to 3. Those are the easy ones. The ones that people mess up on are a lot like that number 33 on the last problem. And that's when you involve this. Like, say this is x and this is 10 and this is 4 and this is 16. If you were to write a proportion, you got to follow the pattern. X corresponds to 10, and here's where people make the mistake. They go 4 to 16. Now, can you guys all pick out what I did wrong there?
Yeah, because you have to 4, 16, 20.
The whole, X is the whole side. 4 is not the whole side. I'd have to go 20 to 16. So you got to add them together. If these were drawn separately, then you would see it easier. If they just drew this one here, this one was 10 and that was 16, and then the big one, this was X and this is 20. If you draw it that way, it's easy to see how to write the proportion. But when they overlap them, you just got to remember to combine it for the whole side. If this is 4 and that's 16, the whole side is 20.
Though when they do the one like that, that's like the end of one triangle, right?
Yep. And then this is the converse of that. If you have this picture and these two are similar, then these two lines have to be parallel. So, here they're looking for the length of NR. So this is one that's easy. X to 4 has to equal, just follow the pattern, 9 to 6. So it's just 9 times 4 is 36, divided by 6 is 6. Most of them will be simple proportions to solve. So again, here to find DF, I'll do it differently. I'll go X to 6 this time. Just got to follow that pattern, 12 to 8. So you cross multiply and divide and you get 9. So here, we're really not going to have any problems like this, but just to show you, they're wondering, is MN parallel to PQ? If these two are similar, then they got to be parallel. So you can just check. Does 54 to 48, does it equal 42 to 36? Remember how to check if proportions are equal? There's 3 ways. Cross multiply. This times this. This 2016. This times this is not. So they would not be parallel. Okay. If you've got parallel lines that intersected, you notice all these pieces that are formed, they're all going to be proportional too. So like if you knew this was X and this was 4 and this was 5 and this was 8, you could write a proportion. X to 8 has to equal, follow the same pattern, 4 to 5. Same thing except just with parallel lines. This is one you haven't seen before. If you've got any triangle, doesn't matter what kind of a triangle it is, and you bisect one of the angles, I'll just bisect that one. What happens is it splits the opposite side into two pieces. You can also do proportions if this happens. So what they'll say is like this is X and this is 6 and this is 12 and this is 9. So you can write a proportion just following the same pattern. Doesn't matter where you start. If I go X to 9, I'd have to go what to what?
C to 12.
6 to 12. Okay? Or I could have went X to 6 equals 9 to 12. So when you set it up, just follow the same pattern and it'll be right. Okay, so like I showed you here, they're wondering how long is GH. So we can just write a proportion. X to 25 equals 28 to 30. So 25 times 28 divided by 30 is 23.3 repeating. Then in this one's a little harder. They want us to find the length of QR. So when I set it up, if I take this side to that, I gotta do this side to that. But this doesn't, we don't know what that is, right? So what do you gotta label it?
Y.
Nope, you can't solve it if it's got two different letters in it.
X.
It can't be X because this is X.
W.
Can't use two different letters.
0. X.
What, Jared?
18X.
You're close. Okay, let's just say if this was 10, this would be 8, right?
8X.
18 minus 10. But it's not 10, it's X. So what would you call this? Someone said it.
2X.
18 minus X.
Oh.
The whole thing is 18. So if you subtract the length of this, that'll give you the length of that. So this is 18 minus X. So this is one of these that you have to write an equation to solve. 8 times X is 8X. Has to equal 12 times this. So remember there's two things here. So you gotta take both of them times 12. So 18 times 12 is 216. 12 times negative X is negative 12X. So to solve it, it's a minus 12X, so you add 12X. And then divide by 20. And you get 10.8. So if they were asking for this one, you just take 18 minus 10.8, be 7.2. Okay, a long word problem, but it's a real simple problem. They just have a bunch of these trails, red, green, blue. The river and sky trails intersect. So this is the river and the sky trails. Explain why the distance between the red and green trails on the sky trail, oops, wrong one, is the same as the distance between the green and the blue trails on the sky trail. So, since these are all evenly spaced, that means like if this is 4 miles, that's 4 miles, they're all evenly spaced. Why would these be evenly spaced?
It's a straight line.
You're close. What are we solving? What's this?
Ratio. Proportion.
Proportions. They're proportional. That's the only reason when they say explain why, It's because they are proportional. Okay? Since these are the same, these gotta be the same. All right, this is an easy one. HL is 2.4. KM is 2.8. And MP is 4.9. Would everyone know how to find what LN is? Everyone could write a proportion to solve it. X to 4.9 equals 2.4 to 2.8. Okay. This one, when we set this one up, X is the 16, and then we'd have to put what? The 12. 21, the whole length minus X. So you have to cross multiply 12X equals 16 times both of those. So 16 times 21 is 336. 16 times negative X is negative 16X. Got the X there. So we just gotta add 16X to get it over with the other one. And then divide by 28. And you get 12. Now today's problems, I'm going to show them up, or put them up here. Some of them, you can put your own letters in there to make it easier. Alright? So I'll put the assignment up there and show you how to switch